Brighter Media Group original.
Hello. My name is John, and welcome to The Versed Podcast, a daily pursuit to become more perceptive to what the Bible says. Together, we're going to find hope. We're going to be reading 1 Peter chapter 3, verses 8 and 9. Let's get into it. All right, so we're going to be taking a look at the first letter that was written by Peter, who was a disciple of Jesus. He lived with Jesus for 3 years. So there's 1 Peter and 2 Peter, and both of those letters are typically dated between 62 and 67 AD, which were the last 4 years of Peter's life. And an interesting fact for you here is I was diving in and doing my research. 1 Peter was actually one of the first letters written that won virtually universal acceptance by the church. Peter wrote this letter to a group of aliens, Christians, both Jew and Gentile, or non-Jews, just in case you didn't know that. And they would have been living in such a way in the community that they stood out as aliens among the surrounding culture. He was writing to a regional church that was suffering persecution scattered throughout the northern areas of Asia Minor, which is present-day Turkey. 1 Peter discusses a lot of things, like how believers should conduct themselves personally and in relationships. He talked about the conduct of church leadership, but always his main concern was persecution and perseverance, and to root their perseverance in the person and in the work of Jesus. Believers of Jesus can always cling to hope in the midst of suffering when you do that. So it's with this lens that we dive into today's verse. 1 Peter chapter 3, verses 8 and 9. I'm going to read today from the New Living Translation. Finally, all of you, be like-minded, be sympathetic, love one another, be compassionate and humble. Do not repay evil with evil or insult with insult. On the contrary, repay evil with blessing, because to this you were called, so that you may inherit a blessing. I'll read one more time. Finally, all of you, be like-minded, be sympathetic, love one another, be compassionate and humble. Do not repay evil with evil or insult with insult. On the contrary, repay evil with blessing, because to this you were called, so that you may inherit a blessing. So looking at verse 8, when we are humble and gracious, compassionate and loving, we're strengthened in our faith. When we seek out unity among each other, we find encouragement. This doesn't mean we seek unity at all costs, but it does mean that we divide only over matters essential to the gospel. Did you catch that? I think that's really relevant to today. We don't seek unity at all cost. It's almost the wrong way of looking at it. We need to have this posture that we're only dividing on matters essential to the gospel. It's important to treat others with a humble love and sympathy and point people toward Jesus. Jesus, who does the same with us. Verse 9, a classic one. How do we love our enemies? Or bless our enemies in this instance. It's through the confidence in God's perfect judgment that enables us to do that. If we were attempting to repay personally every injustice, that could very much lead us into more evil. But because we know that God will vindicate us, we don't have to be concerned with paying back all the evil that we've ever experienced in our life. which brings me to our point of reflection and meditation and prayer today. That God will enable you to seek the well-being of people you don't like. Together, I'm in on this with you. Let's make the decision to do something good today to someone we don't like. It could be as simple as offering a compliment, give a gift, maybe. But let's be intentional about this today. Let's live this verse out. Think about what you can do. Pray on that. We'll take a few minutes here, and then we'll be back on the other side. Thank you for listening to the podcast and taking time out of your day to do so. I don't take that for granted. And I'd love for you to connect with me and with the show. It's really easy to do. If you text the word versed to 88474, you'll get all the information that you need, particularly if you want to dive deeper into a verse. I'll be putting some bonus episodes together. I'm already working on those that we can do a deeper dive than the few minutes we have here. If you have a verse you'd like me to cover in this podcast, you can submit it there as well. The resources that I use, where I get for my information. If you just simply want to connect, make sure you text the word versed to 88474. I've got some info in the show notes as well. I won't leave you out to dry. This is probably the most important thing, if you would like to join and help promoting the podcast by leaving a rating and a review. It just helps more people find the podcast. Love you guys. So grateful that you're here. Continue to go out and make hope louder today. I'll catch you next time.